Hey everyone, welcome to today's video, and for today I'm going to be reviewing my favorite part of the Alien saga, 1986's Aliens. It's just shy of being my absolute favorite part. That spot's actually reserved for the special edition version of the movie, but we can just get to that at another time. So, the movie starts off with Ripley's lifeboat. It's being picked up by a salvage crew. She is greeted by company man Burke, who puts her at ease that while he does work for the company, the same company that said that she and her crew were expendable, that he's an okay kind of guy, which pretty much tells you right away that, he's not an okay kind of guy. He tells her it's been 57 years since the events of the first film. This realization horrifies Ripley, and she suffers from trauma from the encounter from the Xeno, resulting in her having night terrors. Ripley gives a report to the current Weyland-Yutani board, and they just brush off her claims of a dangerous life form from LV-426. They tell Ripley there's a colony there now, Hadley's Hope, and as far as they're concerned, there's been no incidents of any dangerous aliens. Shortly after, Burke, along with military man Lieutenant Gorman, they approach Ripley and inform her that contact with the colony has stopped. They plan to send a group of Marines there to investigate because they believe that the xenomorph creatures are responsible. They want Ripley to come as an advisor. Ripley refuses, but changes her mind when the night terrors continue. So Ripley, Burke, and a ragtag group of soldiers embark on a journey to LV-426. Among the crew is a droid named Bishop, which makes Ripley uncomfortable due to the events with Ash. The soldiers make their way from their ship, the Sulaco, down to the planetoid on a dropship. Then they approach the facility and inside an APC vehicle. They enter the place and see it's all messed up. So it sounds like the board should have listened to Ripley about her warnings, and now it's too late, and look what happened. Either that, or they just had the whole place just had a complete rager party, and the Marines are too late to the party now. They come across a lab containing facehuggers, which confirms that the colony has in fact been in contact with the xenomorph life forms. During their search, they discover a little girl named Newt, who appears to be the last survivor. They find a signal leading them underneath the facility's main reactor. When they get there, they see that the place is cocooned up and filled with dead bodies. The soldiers get attacked by a group of Xenos and are soon killed off. Gorman is panicked and is unable to take lead, and so Ripley takes control of the vehicle to rescue the Marines. Only a handful of soldiers survive: Hicks, Hudson, Vasquez, and along the way, Gorman gets knocked out. With Gorman out, the next high-ranking soldier is Hicks, who agrees with Ripley that they should just take off and nuke the site from orbit, because as they say, it's the only way to be sure. However, their plan to leave unfortunately blows up in their face. Literally, actually. As they await their dropship, a Xeno was aboard and kills pilot Pharaoh, in turn destroying the ship. The group gathers inside the facility and tries to figure out what to do until help can arrive. During this time, Ripley discovers that Burke was basically responsible for the facility being taken over. It was Burke who had ordered colonists to check out the derelict ship from the first film. These colonists came in contact with the eggs and the facehuggers, which ultimately led to the collapse of the entire place. Burke defends himself, saying this life form is worth a fortune and that he had no idea what would happen. However, Ripley isn't buying this and tells him she plans to have him reported. Bishop informs Ripley that the damage caused by the firefight and dropship caused a rupture in the reactor. It's going to explode like a megaton bomb, meaning that they need to get their asses out of this place immediately. So you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here at all. The plan is Bishop will make his way to a radio on the other side of the facility and remote a second dropship to come get them. Meanwhile, the crew will barricade themselves and hold off the aliens as long as possible. While caring for Newt, Ripley discovers that facehuggers have been placed near them. Ripley immediately concludes that Burke is responsible, as this would be a way to get an alien back to Earth and also kill Ripley. She manages to get the soldiers' attention, who save them in the nick of time. The soldiers decide to eliminate Burke, but at that moment, a new wave of aliens attacks them. Burke being Burke, he just leaves them only to get captured immediately. So good riddance on that one. During the firefight, Hudson, Vasquez, and Gorman perish. Now it's just Hicks, Ripley, and Newt. Newt gets separated and is captured by an alien. Hicks and Ripley make their way to the dropship, and Ripley demands that Bishop take them to the reactor. Hicks had been injured earlier by acid and is basically immobilized, so now it's just up to Ripley to save Newt. She gears up, enters the cocoon area, and finds Newt. But in their escape, they find themselves unknowingly entering the nest, being face to face with the big bad queen herself. Ripley forces the queen to let her leave by threatening to burn the eggs. The queen seemingly agrees, but an egg opens up, signaling to Ripley that they're not going to let them leave. So basically at that moment, Ripley just goes full Rambo on all the eggs and aliens in sight. It's like, bam. And a really pissed off queen chases after them. Ripley makes it back to the dropship and escapes just in time. They make it back to Sulaco, where everything seems to be over, and Ripley is even coming around to trusting Bishop. However, it turns out that the Queen snuck itself on the dropship and attacks Bishop. Queen takes Bishop, as they say. Ripley escapes the area and Newt takes cover underneath the floor. So just when things are about to look really bad for Newt, Ripley returns strapped inside of a power loader. At that point, it's on. Oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. Ripley and the Queen duke it out, resulting in them falling into an airlock. While the Queen does try to grab Ripley, it's ultimately ejected out. And so yeah, let's see if this bitch can fly. I can't take credit for that line. Kind of stole that from the Colonial Marines video game. It's a good line. Ripley then preps everyone for hypersleep as they make their way back to Earth. So why do I love this movie? I mean, first of all, the action scenes are just crazy thrilling. From the way it was shot, you know, the way how you see the aliens come out of the walls to attack. Just the filming style, like when Ripley goes to save the Marines inside the vehicle. I know like some of that same filming style was reused in Terminator 2 when the T-1000 was giving chase to John Connor. And it's just a very visually stunning movie all around. I love how it has how it incorporates a lot of blue into its like cinematography. Blue to me always has this very lifeless industrial sci-fi technology kind of vibe, which is just perfect for the setting. And blue also just it really blends well into darkness, which works especially when the aliens just come out of the darkness for their attacks. And not only does the movie look good, it just sounds good too. The sound effects of this movie are just top notch. I mean, the M41 pulse rifle, the sound effects on that gun are just straight up legendary. I remember when I first got this thing, I was so excited that this was including movie accurate sound effects. This is like the equivalent of a Star Wars kid getting one of those effects lightsabers. The sounds of the motion tracker as the aliens are approaching, it just adds to the tension as everyone prepares for battle. And the soundtrack to it just blends so well with the action. James Horner's music, it really is addictive. I remember the movie Timecop, the trailer for that movie used Bishop's Countdown. And I just remember I specifically watched Timecop because it used that music in its trailer. And the acting is just superb all around. Sigourney Weaver, she knocks it out the park as usual. Between the way she just freaking out during her terrors, the way she just acts like a battle-hardened badass during the action scenes, chemistry between her and Carrie Henn. It really is a bit of a shame that Carrie Henn didn't choose to do more acting outside of Aliens. I've heard that she is a teacher now, which is pretty awesome, and just another testament to how awesome Sigourney is. When she chooses to take the lead and act as like the commander of the Marines, you really find yourself listening to her as she's giving orders to them. And it's funny is in the beginning of the movie she talks about how she's not a soldier, and while among her is Lieutenant Gorman, who is the leader of the Marines, and he himself proves that and it's just proven that he wasn't meant to really be a leader, because during the battle he is freaking out on what's going on as he sees his subordinates getting killed off. But during the final battle, when he was standing among them, he showed that he was just better being a grunt fighting alongside them than being the person in charge of them. Gorman's actor William Hope, he really sells that. I've seen YouTube comments and Reddit posts where they criticize Gorman and they say that he was a coward, but he really redeemed himself at the end. And I don't think that's really accurate. I really just think that Gorman was just not meant to be in a leadership position, and he was just meant to be a grunt on the field. Bill Paxton, he's just entertaining as always. He has some of the best lines. I love his freak out moments. I love how he just goes like berserk during the final battle as he just blasts away aliens left and right. I always find myself shedding a tear when he gets dragged away. I can't always help but say bye Hudson. It was nice knowing you. The cast all around, they all just did a phenomenal job. But one person who I think deserves a real special shout out is Michael Biehn. So interestingly enough, like the way his character Hicks has to step up and fill the leadership role, behind the scenes, Michael had to step up and fill in the Hicks role. So originally Hicks was going to be played by actor James Remar, but I believe it was about 2 weeks or so after filming started, Remar had to leave production. So basically, this movie just lost its lead actor. And so James Cameron, he calls up Michael Biehn and says, "Hey Michael, you do anything?" And Michael's like, "No." And Cameron's like, "Okay, you got a valid passport? Because I got a role for you." And Michael's like, "Yes." "Okay, you got the part." So Michael flies over. He's on set, and he doesn't have the same preparation time as all the other actors did who've been training for the roles for like about a good at least like say month or 6 weeks or so. Yet nevertheless, Michael nails the role, and became one of the most iconic characters of his career. I'll also give another special shout out to Mark Ralston. I had the pleasure of meeting Mark at a Comic Con in March of 2025. All around nice guy. And he was happy to discuss Aliens and all his other projects he's done. You can definitely sense the badass in him, and his chemistry with actress Jeanette Goldstein. It's just all around fun. The movie is just filled with so many great lines. Hudson's "Game over, man." Newt's "They mostly come at night." Mostly. I think my all-time favorite line from this movie is is the exchange between Hudson and Vasquez, where he's all like, "Oh, Vasquez, you ever been mistaken for a man?" And she's like, "No, have you?" And I'd like to just go back to how visually the movie is just so cool. I mean, between the look of the Sulaco, Hadley's Hope, the nest, the cocooned areas, just the look of the Queen, just all around epic. That moment when Ripley comes out of the elevator and she has the flamethrower and gun, you just want to stand up and cheer. And then of course there's the whole mystery aspect in the movie. You're wondering, what's going on? Like, how did all this stuff go haywire? What is up with Burke? What's up with these eggs? Like, where are they coming from? What is this possible queen that they talk about? And just like when they finally like build up to it, when you see that pan shot, going all around to the eventual queen, it really just glues you to your seat. I always felt that imagery and mystery buildups were subtly used in the opening title. We see an image that's out of focus, and as the titles come about, the image comes more in focus until it reveals the title Aliens. And then there's the eye. I always saw that eye as as it's like opening up like an alien egg, and then we see a light shine through it, like a life form coming about. So in the Alien fandom, there's definitely a group that definitely will probably only acknowledge the first two films, because it's kind of known in pop culture that there's Aliens, and then Alien 3 onward kind of just it never really reached the same heights as the first two films. I'm down for anything Alien. But if you only watch the first two films and you just want to end your journey there with the series, I understand that. I mean, that's totally get it, because and you know what, it's not a bad way to go, because the series would definitely leave a positive impression on you. But if you haven't seen this movie, I'd say just drop what you're doing and watch it now, because it's definitely well worth the time. James Cameron, I don't think I can thank you enough for making this wonderful film. Anyway, hope you enjoy, and take care.